Hey everybody, I'm still Matt, and we are still at the North Texas Prop Party for the Replica Prop Forum, and we're going to take you around and show you some more people and all the cool stuff they have acquired and built and painted and loved on and all that. Let's go. I'm now here with Brad Lewis, who has, among other things, a really cool collection of lightsabers. We first ran into him, I think, here 2 years ago.
Something like that,
and was very impressed by a lot of the intricacy of the interior of the lightsabers. There's a story behind that, and I'll let Brad tell it, because it's his story, not mine.
Hi. What do you want to start
This one specifically is the one I was nerding out on.
Okay. This one is a replica of the Luke V2. And it's got a light-up crystal chamber on the inside. The fun thing about this one is it's got a spring-loaded open like that.
That's cool.
All the internals were machined by me in my garage. The back has the access to the SD card, the power port, and the computer.
Oh, the SD card is for sound effects and all that?
It is,
okay.
yes. The SD card is where the sound effects are contained.
Okay.
And you can put the light settings and the flicker and all that.
So is there like a micro Arduino one there, or is it even simpler than that?
It's a dedicated controller board that controls the motion sensing, the lighting, and the sound. When this is twisted like so and this rod comes back, that port is locked and you can't get it open. But you can still turn it on, assuming the battery's still good. There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So there's that guy.
It's kind of loud in here, but it's got the sound effect going for it.
Same with this guy. This is a Obi-Wan crystal reveal chamber, and it's got the spring-loaded, open, and animated.
Very cool. Now, you work for BioWare.
I do work for BioWare.
And your story, when they did, I can't recall which game it was, where you could start designing your own lightsaber, they needed some interior guts for the video game to see what the lightsabers looks like, and
it was this one.
All right.
When we did the cinematic for the lightsaber assembly sequence for the game, they didn't have the concept of the inside of a lightsaber at the time. So it was up to me to define what that would be. The guys said, hey Brad, why don't you just come up with the inside of it for the cinematic? And so this is what I made. I was making this in real life at the time, so I modeled it in 3D. And I sent it to Lucas, and they said, you know what, that looks like the inside of a lightsaber, that's fine. We'll go ahead and let that be what's the inside. So that's kind of how that became canon to some extent. Right. In the Old Republic, when you assemble your lightsaber in the game, this is what comes together for the player.
Your crystal there, is that a crystal or is that a cast piece, or how did you...
That's a real quartz crystal.
Okay.
It's a blue quartz crystal. And these are just...
yeah, that detail right there. That is all that coolant fan.
Right,
that is,
sure, whatever you want it to be.
Incredible detail.
Right.
You know, it's like all that coil there, that's actual, you coiled all that, or is that...
No, that's robbed out of a motor coil.
Okay, so that's just the rotor from a motor?
Rotor from a motor. You got it.
All right. That's awesome.
And from then, that was my first crystal chamber. After that, I did this one. And after that, I did this one. And this one is the best design so far, I think, because you can just push it closed without having any trouble with it. The other ones are a little more finicky to close, but this one you can pop open.
And this is all done on a mini lathe and a decent mill?
Yes.
Okay.
With the exception of this one, all of this work was done with files and hacksaws.
Okay. So this was done on a CNC lathe?
No, this is a manual lathe, and all of these were done with a hacksaw and files.
Okay, so those were inserted. Okay, that's inserted, not
that was before I had a mill. But now that I've got a mill, I can do some more things. So
it's amazing how much tools change your life.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is cool. We'll see you around. All right. I am here with Trent White, and more importantly, with R2. We were talking before camera started rolling here, and there's always great stories behind all these builds, and especially among the RPF types, R2 is kind of one of the holy grail type props, and this is a very well executed R2. So you were saying earlier this is kind of version 2, and there's a story behind that?
Version 2. So yeah, version 1 I started, ever since I was a small child, always wanted, I mean, R2 is like my favorite. He's, nobody can understand him except for the guy who owns him. So I always wanted to have my own little R2 that I could have, come on, follow me around and talk to, that nobody else can understand. And ever since I was a little kid, I always wanted one. So back in 2008 or something, I was, around on the internet, and I was like, oh my God, there's a R2 builders club. These nerdy guys build these things. Oh my God, I have to have one. And then it's like, oh, they cost tens of thousands of dollars. Never mind. So then you start getting creative and all this other good stuff. Long story short, I built one several years ago. Got him about 90% done. He didn't move or anything, but I got him. Had to sell him for some financial reasons. So my son who built it with me was very bummed out. So we started over last year. He was like, Dad, when are we going to get R2 back? I was like, all right, we'll make him bigger and better than ever. So we did all aluminum, so he's all metal. Sourced all the parts from the club, so they're all club spec, down to the millimeter of accurate to the screen used one. And there he is. Got him done. Took about a year.
So you talk about the controller? That's that's pretty impressive. It's just right here.
I don't know anything about AutoCAD or manufacturing, so I sourced all of the parts. So basically, he's just put together, not really a kit because you can't have a kit R2, but you can buy one part from this guy, one part from this guy, put them together. The only thing I really know anything about is programming. So he's actually controlled by an Arduino. So as far as his controls go, he's actually very straightforward, pretty simplified compared to how they used to be even 5 or 10 years ago, with all the fans and radio syncs and all this other stuff.
Just one Arduino Mega?
Yeah, so he's an Arduino Mega right here with the USB hose shield. So it's a Bluetooth adapter that I've replaced with a really long range Bluetooth air cable. So you can go like a quarter mile on Bluetooth. It's insane. Right. So basically, PlayStation 3 navigation controller from the one that had the purple ball for the motion. This was the backup one for the navigating the menus. So that composes to this. This runs to his foot controller, which controls their electric scooter motors.
Okay.
And then the Siren 10 controller runs his dome, and that is the dome. The motor for this is a worm drive seat adjustment motor. So you're in your car.
Okay.
Back and forth. Took the worm drive off, stuck a flywheel on it, mounted it vertically, and there you go.
So does he have 360 or is he kind of?
360. So
okay.
The other thing I wanted to keep is make him simplified so that he was very easy to maintain, very easy to operate. Because my main idea here was to take him to children's functions like charities and hospitals and stuff like that. So I know a lot of kids are going to be wanting to grab him. So I didn't want to have a whole lot of things that could break.
He's got to be robust.
Yeah, he's got to be heavy duty, hard. They can't push him over. So one of the efforts to keep him simple is his whole head is completely self-contained. So you can literally just pull his head off. So he's got all the electronics. His eye still moves around.
Okay.
It's all self-contained with just a battery power. And there's the motor with the. Can you hand me that? Okay. So here's the motor with the. Yep.
Just spinning that ring and that mounts on the ring.
Yep. So he's got holes pre-drilled that fit down on here, so it'll spin 360 all day long.
Very cool. It's good looking around. I mean, it's essentially 3 motors.
Yeah. Yep. You got 2 motors for the feet that go back and forth, and you've got a dome motor. Now I've got a separate little Arduino-based controller that's built into his eye.
Okay. So he can look around.
Protector. Yeah. Basically, you just apply power to it, and it randomly sends signals to his servos. So I don't control this. You just turn it on and he looks around.
It'll just pick a random direction?
Yeah, he just looks around. So with the code, I can program like an auto dome. I can turn that on. He'll kind of look around by himself.
Okay.
If I can turn his feet off and leave him alone, he'll sit there parked. I can respond to people by pushing the sound buttons. And then, of course, driving him around with the stick, head, spin.
Very impressive.
Got some sounds programmed into there. He's heavy. So yeah, so one of the main things, yeah, making sure that you're being really careful and not running on those little kids' toes.
So you've got the software mapped where left will spin them left. You don't have to individually operate the threads.
Right. Yep. It's all based on one stick. So going left pushes that one back, goes that one forward, and it's all graduated exponentially. So you can spin them this way, and then you can go forward. They'll spin them backwards. I've been drinking a little bit, so there vicariously R2's been drinking a little bit.
All right. Thank you, Trent.
Sure.
Thank you, R2.
Absolutely.